The time is nigh. Open up your eyes to see the signs of the times. Got to be wise to all of their lives. Look to the skies from where my help comes. Wake up, got to wake up from the slumber. Don't let them pull you under. Rise up of the water. Never let them wrestle you into the mud.
Yes, family. Yeah, yep. Yes. Greetings in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Wazira Menin. Yes, family. One perfect balance. Greetings and welcome to another special edition of Politically Incorrect. Yeah? Y'all know what time it is, man. I can't believe it. It is Friday again. Like, look, every time you look wrong, it's like we're living in a time warp, family. Well, I can't understand this thing. It's like 1 minute it'd be Monday, next minute it'd be Friday, all over again. It'd be like, cha. But anyhow, welcome again. Let me first start by saying this, man. There's folks who observe today as a sacred day. So I want to say Shabbat Shalom. Assalamu alaikum to the Islamic community. Peace. Y'all know already, Moors. I'm going to say Hotep, to the conscious community. Namaste, brothers out in the East. Rastafari, to the brethren and the sister, and to everyone else, love and light. Yes, this is politically incorrect. Like I said, where we get it correct, and if we're not correct, feel free to correct us, because really and truly, this is where we're going to find
real news for the people in real time.
Real news for the people in real time. That's what's up. Tonight we have a special guest. She's not a stranger. She's been on here before, I think, at least once. Dealing with a matter, I think at the time, was the children in the school. I think that was what it is. Watch out, my children. Nevertheless, we're here again dealing with an issue. We're dealing with land ownership versus title deed. A lot of people got questions regarding land. We were discussing some issues a few weeks ago pertaining to Mistura Estate, where part of her property was sold by a particular attorney. And the documents that I showed you indicated that, how you going to contract with the deceased, the owner deceased. So how you going to contract with but anyhow, those are questions perhaps for another program, but we're going to discuss some stuff tonight. Feel free, if you have any questions, to call in. If you want to come on the feed, I could put the link to the studio up. You're welcome to come on in. We have one house rule: be respectful. That's it. You know what I mean? So having said that, yes, we're going to discuss a few things tonight, including one thing. I got to answer a question. What y'all think about the fact that there's been some slight restructuring of the cabinet? What y'all thoughts about that are. But we get to that later on. The first main thing is about land ownership versus title deeds. So we're going to focus on that. We have a special guest coming in tonight to answer these questions. And, well, like I said, she needs no introduction, but I will give you that in a minute. In the meantime, let's get into some real housework here. Now, first thing we got to shout out Sonia. Shout out to Sonia. Sonia been here like from day one. She's been on the program with us and behind the scenes, supporting Fade as a group, as a movement. And I just want to say happy entry day to her and everybody else who see this month as a special month. We want to say, give thanks for your solar return and, a new opportunity to get right what we didn't get right the last cycle. So yes, Sonia, big up yourself for sure. You already know. We thank you. And everybody else, man. Beverly, we see you. Good night to you as well. Glad you work out the other night, get out and get in good. Jackie, all the way from UK. Shout out to the UK family. Shout out to the matriarch. Mums, we love you from Barbados as always, sitting on your royal throne up there in the UK. The original queen of the Europeans. It's our land. It's been our land. We know it is. So it's all good. Nevertheless, we continue for the sake of the children and the children's children, man. So we give thanks each and every one, man. Oh, man, the grandson. I wanted to hear, but I am someplace else at work. Nah, you're going to be good. Don't worry, because if you don't catch it like Rihanna say on the replay. You know what I mean? Can't go around. Jackie and NYC. Shout out to all the folks in New York. Y'all already know. Greetings, family, to you too. Andrew, you wasn't playing, man. You saw me earlier I don't tell me run into Andrea. She making moves. I going in, make sure you catch it quick. So give thanks. Give thanks. I think that a lot of y'all may have questions, so we look forward to the questions as well. For sure. Good night to everyone. Ondine, I will give thanks for sure. I truth, they got us on speed. I stop it. You make it sport, man. Jackie, listen, Jackie. You know what? You liable to call in. I'm sure you might be calling in, Jackie, but nevertheless, we give thanks. Hail up, blessed love, family. I ain't even gonna touch that. Is a job 7777. I like it though. I like it. GZ Entertainment Records. Shout out to the family. Listen, if you need a recording studio, family, quality engineers, and quality sounds, GZ Entertainment Records is the place to be. If you're a budding artist and you're trying to get your deal on, that's what's up. We support the family all day, every day. Shout out to Sir Alfred Benjamin in New York as well. It's New York, right? For sure. Shout out to the family overseas. Wait, you saying good morning, Rastaman? Wait a minute. You on the train tonight? Wait, when you saying good morning? Well, wait a minute. Where you at, man? Because you got me lost here. You might be living real happy, man. Where you from, man? Where you from? I left the office early this evening. I got the 6-inch screen tonight. Okay, I like it. You watching it on the big screen. TYRA, you met folks leave work early just to get home. This is crazy. But we give thanks to all of you, even the smiling butterfly. Listen, don't get tapped with this smiling butterfly, though. This smiling butterfly is venomous. But we love it. Greetings, a blessed night, my family. All is well. Big Pain in the building. Need no introduction. Maria, need no introduction. All this is the family right here. Daffodil. Shout out to Fade, man. Shout out to the whole Fade family. Straight up. BB and GB. Okay, we see you. Shout out to Alex Mitchell, man. Of all people, man. Peace to the Moors, man. Straight up. The originals. Yeah, man. Aye, family. We taxing on the runway right now. Normally, we drop a tune and get this thing going. I ain't dropping the tune. I'm just going to open up and let the sister come on in, and we going to go down that road. I'm not even wasting the time. But I want to put something up really quick that I had up earlier. Not earlier, but when I was reviewing it earlier. I want to bring something back to our memory real quick. And I'm going to give you the link as well, because I don't have access to the fullness of it, but I do have access to the fullness of it in a different way. But I want to speak on something, because we know that the prime servant, and again, when I say that, because I try to remind politicians that their role is to serve the people and not just minister over them like lords, and we are all the heathens in need of saving and redeeming. But it's a servitude, it's about the people. And for me, it's about really and truly recognizing that, even if they did wrong and there's wrong, that we could come together as a nation and fix it. It's not about pointing out who did this and who did that. And we could do all that political mudslinging. But there's an old African saying, fix the problem and not the blame. So I want to bring this up real quick. It's a document here. And let me switch sides. Hold on a second. Yeah. So y'all remember this right here, the Kathleen Davis, the whole estate. Y'all remember Kingsland Estate? Remember that Kingsland Estate argument? Y'all remember that situation? The prime minister recently said in a press conference that the rule of law is what governs Barbados. So we ain't want to take Drax or land from Mr. Drax. There's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And my response, that was on Monday, because we didn't do this on Wednesday. We switched Wednesday for Friday and Friday for Wednesday. And here we are now. The reality is that wasn't the case with a few individuals that I am aware of, personally speaking, and the ones I got recently that people sent me on my phone. And so we got some questions you want to answer. Like I said, we're not a legal platform. I don't profess to be no lawyer or none of the such. I know a little bit enough, that I ain't gonna be misinterpreted, seeing how law is interpretation. So we brought in the experts. So you can't say that I gave you the advice. I'm just saying we got questions and we're going to just have a conversation tonight. Like I said, it's just a conversation. So Miss Motley, if you're watching, like I told you, the number's on the screen. Feel free to call in if you choose. So you might be home relaxing. Because I don't know if a prime minister, I don't. Does the Prime Minister find time to sit back and relax? So it's always go, 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 go. I mean, at some point you gotta sit down, kick off your shoes, and I see that you might need a massage too, Miss Motley. You know, you work hard, you're on your feet a lot. You might need a little massage. You know, you get the King Man to rub your feet for you. But get someone to rub your feet for you and go from there. So here we're going on. We gonna leave the number on the screen. Feel free to call in. Now, even if you have questions, Miss Motley, call and ask a question because you don't know it all. And if you're going to profess to know it all, then we up the creek for real. So anyhow, having said that, I go on to slide this out the way and we going to get into some questions real quick. And without any further ado, I am going to do one of the things I would have done before, and I can do the transition. If I can find the one, let me see if I can find one real quick. The in and the out. Let's try this one. Let's do this one real quick. So I'm gonna do this one, be back in a second. Actually, a quick break, and we'll see what's up. Yes, and joining us tonight, of course, is none other than TYRA TROTMAN. On and only. Welcome to Politically Incorrect, where we get it correct, and if we're not correct, TYRA, tonight, please correct me. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's always an honor to be able to use my voice and my knowledge to spread some sort of awareness to the people of Barbados, and also hear what the thoughts are from the communities, the various communities, and the public, because no man is an island. And so I always like to share and dwell in the midst of the people to find out what it is that's going on with the people, and so I can better advocate on behalf of the people when I do that.
Wonderful. And I've heard you advocate on more than one occasions, and you are a voice to reckon with. With such passion and such conviction. If I didn't know any better, I could prophesy, but I ain't going to say that tonight. That might cause more issues in Barbados than necessary. So I told my grandmother, Aunt Rose, always would say, you know, one thing about life, right? When something is for you, right? You ain't never got to chase after it.
It's true.
You know, you ain't never got to chase after it. Yeah. So your humility is noted. And again, welcome. Now, this issue with land ownership and versus title deeds. I'm going to paint a scenario for you initially, and then you can tell me, you know, from your professional perspective, how this works, okay? So a mother wrote a will, and she left her estate to her 3 daughters. And unfortunately, before she passed away, one of her daughters transitioned, which basically left the 2 daughters and the mother. And unfortunately, as time progressed, she too eventually transitioned, leaving the 2 daughters.
2 daughters.
Will. So then the will was read in the hearing of the 2 daughters by an attorney at law here. And, you know, one of these sisters was encouraged to sign some documents that he presented to her and hand over that parcel of land that was clearly hers, because it wasn't a request for both of them. It was one in particular he went to have her sign, which gave me the impression the other one had already previously signed something. And we're waiting on this particular one because he wanted to sell a particular parcel of land. But she refused, like, no, I don't want to know. Right now, no, right now is not the time. Like, this is not the time. I'm just trying to process my mother just transitioned. We're doing the will hit rating, but I'm not ready for that. So she never signed it, anything, and gave it back. That was it. Some time passed, and I mean some time passed, and she eventually got wind through a relative that parcel of land is up for sale. I was like, well, how is it possible it's up for sale? I never agreed to nothing. I mean, the will hasn't been probated and all this stuff, transfer of anything, nothing has happened. So what do you mean? Well, to make a short story long, they put a document in the court, filed an injunction to stop it, went to the property, actually saw construction, started to push away the land. Before anything is built, push away land, went to the police station, contact the architect, contact the contractor, try to explain to them, look, I am so and so and so and so, this is my documents, this is my property, I never authorized this, what are y'all doing? And nobody stopped, everybody continued business as usual. So the officers allow her to know it's a civil matter, they can't do nothing. She goes to court a couple of times. Another particular attorney was supposed to get back to them on some matters. He never got back to them, never said a word, never said anything. And that was that. Fast forward now, a property has been built on that location. I went to the registry and did some research and found a document that says that property is now owned by a Mr. So and so and so and so. And on the back of it is a receipt from the central bank with the amount in US currency that was transferred at the time. And so it's like, well, wait a minute. Let me just add one more key factor here. Remember the other sisters I told you there were two left? At some point between there, right after this sale took place, she transitioned right afterwards. In fact, she went to the attorney's office that day, supposed to collect what was supposed to be her portion of the transaction. Didn't get it, came back home and almost pretty much conked out. I don't know if she drank the Kool-Aid or what, but anyway, I'm just saying. I wasn't there, but I'm just saying. That's what happened. That's what happened. Well, the house is on the property. There are documents that say the land was sold, although the documents state that it was sold by the deceased. She is the pretty much owner of the property. She is the vendor on the documents, a deceased woman. Is this possible? According to the rule of law?
Well, a deceased person cannot, as you can imagine, they cannot sign any documents. So I don't know how that is possible. What happens is, though, when you pass away, if you have a will, you would have a named executor.
Right.
That named executor, then what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to apply for probate at the High Court. Once that is granted, then you have the authority to sell the land.
Once it is
Once
granted,
it's granted,
okay,
you would have the authority then to sell the land in the name of the estate as the personal representative of that estate. But
what if it wasn't granted?
Well, if it wasn't granted, there is no way then. Two things. Number one, a dead person can't sell property, obviously. And then number two, the person
Say that again. A dead person cannot sell property.
I mean, how would they
in good faith?
Not even in good faith. How would they sign the document? Is it that the signature was forged? Is that what you're saying?
You see where I'm going with this right now? Because there were no assets done. In fact, the date on the assets of the dates, look, when you chronologically put the dates in order and do a timeline, you notice something wrong very early. But this is right here in Barbados according to the rule of law. So now the question is, what I just told you is a real scenario. It's no hypothetical.
Right.
And there's a property on that, there's a structure on the property.
And you said that they applied to the High Court for an injunction.
Yes, they did.
The injunction granted.
Well, no, that's the thing. The other, like I said,
if the injunction,
lawyer that was involved,
you apply for things, and sometimes it takes years to get an order. If it is that an injunction was granted, and then the person still went ahead and constructed on this property, not only are you doing something which is completely illegal, but you are also now going against a court order.
Wait, hold on. If they file the injunction in the court, does that mean the project has to stop because it was filed?
It has to stop immediately.
Wait. Just because you filed it, it has to be halted?
Because it now becomes you're now the subject matter. That property now the subject matter of the consideration of the court. So you're supposed to stop because remember when you might not know, but when you file an application for an injunction, one of the requirements is that you have to serve all of the defendants or the proposed respondents, all of them. You have to serve them with notice of this particular application. And good law is, or good practices is, that once you've been filed with such an application or a notice for an application, you're supposed to cease whatever you're doing. It's supposed to come to some sort of temporary halt, because the subject matter now, which is the land or the property, is now what we call sub judice, or sub judice is a Latin term. It means it's under the consideration of the court. court.
Not
So until
really.
the court has deliberated on it, that is whether the court has said yay or nay, you're
It's on pause.
supposed to, yeah, it's supposed to come to a pause.
What you telling me at all? Well, like I said, they have records where they went to the police station, they spoke to the contractor, they spoke to the architect, they spoke to Ed, they spoke to the man delivering the sign.
Right, because you're supposed to, as I said, you're supposed to file notice is supposed to be, granted. Some people
They
even put
never
notice
stop.
in the newspapers. That's crazy. And then the other thing that raises an alarm in my mind,
Mhm.
because a contract of sale, it's a two-way thing. It's two parties are involved. Not only is the vendor involved, but the purchaser is involved.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, well, I'm assuming that the purchaser would have had an attorney at law as well. So if the purchaser has an attorney at law as well, why are you as an attorney at law not doing your due diligence in terms of making sure? So let me explain something.
Mhm.
Vendor and purchaser.
Mhm.
The purchaser's attorney at law has a duty to ensure, number one, that there's a good root of title. What does
Right.
this mean? The title has been established for at least a period of 20 years. So what the vendor's attorney is supposed to do is they're supposed to give you something called an abstract of title, which is a chain or basically a list of owners for the past 20 years. If it is that there's only one, that's fine. But it has to end, or it has to be at least a period of 20 years. Because 20 years is what we call in law good root of title.
Good, a
Right?
good
A
root
good
of
root of
title.
title. Yeah.
All right.
And then what the purchaser's attorney is supposed to do, they're supposed to go through that list and ensure that all the conveyances or whatever, whether it's a deed of gift, it was a deed of assent, it was a deed of conveyance, whatever the title document is, they're supposed to request our what we call requisitions, right? So I'm supposed to say, okay, you've listed that these persons were the owners of the land over the last 20 years. So I would like to see proof of that. So I go ahead and requisition those particular documents. After I get those documents, it doesn't stop there. I'm supposed to then go through the documents, inspect those documents, make sure they're valid, make sure I can even go to the land registry, do a search, make sure they've been recorded.
The documents to
Yeah,
prove
I'm supposed to do my due diligence. Now, I am thinking, as the purchaser's attorney at law, if I see a document that is signed, allegedly, because I don't know, by a dead person, alarms are supposed to be raised in my mind because I'm supposed to do my due diligence. Where is this person? If this person is deceased, why are you purporting to say that this person is selling the land? If you're not selling the land in the name of the deceased, but as the personal representative of the estate, where is your authority? Which
That's
means
the
then
thing.
I have to ask you for the probate, right? The letter's testamentary. Where is that?
But wait a
Where
minute,
does
wait a
it
minute.
say?
That's it right there, because on the document they have the vendor as the deceased, but the executive, which is one of the daughters, is on there, but she doesn't have any authority.
Right, because she wasn't issued, probate was not granted
It was
as
never
yet.
granted.
So therefore, you're
How is that,
conducting
so how is this possible then? Like what would you call this under the law, rule of law?
anything is possible, but it's definitely an illegal sale. That's not, you
Wow.
cannot legally sell something that is not yours. That is like if I go to my neighbor and I go and take out his car, I steal it,
Right.
and then I go and sell it to somebody in St. James. How is that even possible? I'm selling a stolen car. That's basically what happened. You stole someone's property, basically, right?
Yeah.
Because the definition of theft is to permanently deprive another's property with the intention of right. Basically, acquire someone's property with the intention of permanently depriving the other of the same.
Wow.
So that's theft. So you stole
Theft.
someone's property and sold it. That's what I'm thinking. And then not only is it theft, but obviously there's some sort of fraud involved, because if you're out here, I don't know if you did it with the intention of doing so, or if you did it right.
Like I said, he asked years before to sign for one of the sisters to sign off on this same property, and she refused to.
Well, it's fraud then, because at the end of the day, it's like
Premeditated at that, by the way.
if you're doing it with the intention, if you're intentionally doing it, then it's definitely fraud. And it at least it would be some sort of misrepresentation, if not fraudulent.
Well, here's a question then. Can I go as far as saying it's a conspiracy? Because like you said, the buyer's attorney, even the buyer, might be fully aware of what's going on.
Yeah,
Okay, so
even
then,
someone said isn't buying stolen property a crime. But if you, it depends because you have to know that it's stolen. See, there's a in law there's something called the mens rea and then there's the actus rea. The mens rea is the mental element. So every
Mhm.
single crime has two elements to it. The mental element and then the physical element. The mental being there must be some sort of intention or recklessness or something going on in your mind that made you or you told yourself you want to commit this. And then
Mhm.
the actus reus is the actual act of doing it. So receiving stolen property, you have to know that it's stolen. If you don't know that it's stolen, you have a defense in law, right? So if you are buying property, you don't know that it's stolen, you do have a defense in law. However, if you know that it's stolen, well then you're just you're just as guilty as the person that's selling it.
Well, wait a minute, wait a minute. So that means that, wait a minute, man. So then how do you reconcile this? You got proof right in front of you that the vendor that is deceased cannot contract on her own. The executrix did not have authority because it was never given to her. And yet there's a buyer who's okay with whatever happened already, who's willing to pay close to $3 million, by the way, for this piece of property. By the way, that's still missing. So the
Mm.
property sold, money missing, and mom's is out of her land where she grew up. How can she, okay, let me phrase that. Can she go down to that property and bulldoze it because the owner has no claim to it?
Well, if it is, so it depends on what stage is reached. I think as you're explaining it to me, it seems that a deed was already prepared. So in a sale of land, there's three stages. There's the pre-contract phase, there's the contract phase, and then there's the post-contract phase. So the pre-contract phase is what I was just explaining, where you do all the research, you develop the relevant requisitions,
Mhm.
you make sure there are no encumbrances on the land, which is I think what my friend was talking about. Not good, not I think he mentioned it in some other way, but it's good and marketable title, which
Mhm.
means that there are no encumbrances on the land. You have to make sure that there are no charges to the land. So for example, the person doesn't owe the bank any money or there are no secured creditors that can come after this property because they want their money. And also that there is no one who has any equitable interest in the land. So for example, tenants or someone that has a right of way or easement or whatever the case may be, right? So that's good and marketable title. So that's pre-contract. Contract now is where you do up the actual agreement for sale. If it's at that stage, because that's just a contract, then what you're asking is what would mums have? So if we're at that stage, then she can argue that the contract should be void ab initio, which means that it acts as though it doesn't exist. And if a contract is void ab initio, if
Right.
there is that money at this point, this is why we only ask for 10%. You don't ask for the full. This is why I tell people all the
But
time.
no,
We
no, no. The
employ
10%, all that was the 10%
get
was
a
paid.
lawyer,
The 10% was for, well, the documents that show the 10% was paid, but it didn't
right?
say 10%. But when I calculate the deposit,
It's 10%. That's
then
the
I found out
standard.
it was
That's
10,
the rule
it
of
was
thumb.
10%,
It's
240,000 of the
That's the
$2.4
deposit.
million
Yeah.
dollars. So that was 10%. And then the
And
executive, go ahead.
get it, clock it. The lawyer,
Uh-huh.
the vendor's lawyer, when the 10% is paid, the
Mhm.
vendor's lawyer is supposed to receive this 10% and hold it on trust
Mm,
until the entire transaction is complete. There's a reason for that.
mm,
Because if anything goes wrong, for example, something like this, I'm
mm.
supposed to be in a position as an attorney at law to be able to refund you your money. Because at the end of the day, if I give the vendor that 10% and if something goes wrong and I turn around and tell my client as the vendor's attorney, listen, you need to you
Gotta put
need
that
to
back.
compensate.
You
And
gotta
then
put,
you tell me, well, shoot, I done spend the
then,
money, where again? Then obviously that opens a door of problems. See, so
that's
that's why
crazy.
we're supposed to hold the money on trust until the entire transaction is complete. So
Madness.
that's the contract stage. So in a situation like that, you can argue breach of contract by virtue of either fraudulent misrepresentation. There might be illegality, so it's an illegal contract, therefore should be void ab initio. But the point is, the contract is voidable or void, depending on the circumstances. So voidable meaning it's voidable in law, but we can continue, or it's completely void in that we cannot
You
continue.
cannot touch it. Wow. Crazy.
No, there's post contract, which is now where we create or we prepare the deed, the conveyance, right? The title deeds, what people call the title deeds, are the deed of conveyance.
Mm.
Now, there are two systems in Barbados. There's the old common law system, and then there's the new
Wait a
title
minute.
deed system. There's two
There's
systems,
two different systems regarding titles.
yes, in
Well,
Barbados.
somebody's asking you, can you sell property without it? Can someone sell property without their title deeds?
I don't know how you would do that, because if you're telling me, I mean, it might happen if you're not doing your due diligence. But at the end of the day, if you're telling me, I think anyone with good common sense, I want to be very careful how I pick my words, because I don't want to say anyone is foolish. But any day, sometimes ignorance is bliss. If you're coming to me something as important as land, and I'm paying you a significant amount of money, even if I was an attorney law, you would have to prove to me somehow that you own this piece of property. I'm not just going to give you $200,000 or $100,000 or even $50,000, even $20,000 out of my money, unless you can show me that you own what it is you're purporting to sell to me. This is not a
Unless
chocolate.
unless the seller is a lawyer, because people tend to trust lawyers for some reason. I don't know why.
That is the whole thing. So it could be a situation where a conveyance was presented, but it was not, it was fraudulent, right? Exactly. So the bona fide purchasers. So remember, I was explaining this to you on the phone. In law, there's something called a bona fide purchaser for value without notice. But because there's also something called caveat emptor, or buyer beware,
Right.
where the law presumes that you would have done your due diligence and checked to see if there was good title and if this person actually had the authority to sell you this piece of property. They say that you have constructive notice, meaning you should have been aware if you had done what you were supposed to do, and therefore you are not protected as a bona fide purchaser for value without notice, which is different. So, for example, let's say you buy a house and there's something wrong with the electric wiring or the plumbing, because not only do you have the duty to inspect the title, but you have the duty to inspect the actual property itself. So that's why they say you're supposed to go on the property yourself and make sure everything is good, etc., because you're presumed to have done all the relevant.
Right. So then you have no excuse.
Right. But if there's, for example, there's something latent versus patent defects. I think latent is the one you can't see. I might be wrong, maybe the other way around. But like plumbing and electrical issues, something like if it's really, really bad to a point where, this is not what you contracted for, then the law may protect you in those circumstances, because you would be deemed a bona fide purchaser for value without notice, because you couldn't have seen those things.
Well,
yeah.
Well, he said, well, tell us what is common law versus
the also, I think it's 1960. That system, common law system, dates back to then. And then there's a new system, I think was it 2011, that falls on. So those newer developments, there's like an act. Can't remember it right now, but there's an act where if your land falls under the schedule in that act, then you're deemed to be falling under the new system rather than the common law system. So there's subtle differences.
Wait. Explain that again. That sounds somewhat nefarious, really. Not even technical. I'm looking at this because who determines who fall under and who don't?
Well, the government. Well, the law, basically. The law.
Hint.
The law. It's not that big of a deal. It's just the difference.
Okay. Explain it.
Instead of getting a title deed, what we call deed of conveyance, you just get like a certificate of title. Does
a certificate of title has the same
weight,
the contractual weight? Yes,
it does. It's just
it's just more convenient. So let me ask you a question.
Correct. It's more modern.
If you took a piece of land that allegedly had no recognizable owner, you wanted to acquire this, rather than doing all the other work like you were suggesting, due diligence and whatnot, can someone then get a certificate instead that doesn't have a history, doesn't have all the prerequisites, but it's a certificate issued by the government?
Yeah, the location of that land, would need to fall, like I said, under the schedule, because it's a set amount of land in different places. It's not like general. So you have to fall in. I think Union Development is one in St. Philip that falls under that particular system.
Okay.
rather than the common law system. So it just makes it easier, I think, to buy and sell land and stuff like that. But you can, if for example you butt upon some land that no one owned ever.
Let me call it Crown land. I mean, sorry, let me call it state land. A piece of state land that really got no trace on it that
No
kind of way.
trace or nothing like that.
It's easier than to give it a certificate and move it fast because nobody's
There's
watching.
I know there's core applications you can make. So there's titling proceedings. So I don't know if it's a situation where you would apply to the court to have the court then order basically that you are the owner of this particular piece of land, or if it's a situation where, as you say, crown land. Because I remember coming up in school learning that the reason why it's called an interest in land is because even though you have a legal interest in that you are the paper owners of this particular land, it doesn't really belong to you. It still belongs to the crown. That's what I learned. So
Okay.
I don't know if it's a situation where you have to buy the land from the government, from the crown. I don't know. I really don't know. I've never come across a situation like that before. I do know there's situations where persons possess vacant land, and then after 10 years, as we know, you have a right to apply to title that land by virtue of adverse possession. I know that much. I know it's 10 years for what they would say privately owned land, or 20 years if it's crown land. I don't know of a situation where you bought upon land that has been vacant, has no recorded previous owners, but you wish to purchase it the legal way. I don't know what happens there, but I suspect a situation, maybe Ministry of Housing. I don't know.
Now, if you go open up that can of worms with Ministry of Housing, Alex is saying that to bypass the law is fraud, which is the certificate, which I can see where he's coming from. But Alex Mitchell, I'm sure you know Alex. I've heard of Alex Mitchell, perhaps. You haven't heard of Alex Mitchell. I like to put. I wonder if I could see this really quick. Let me see if I can pull this out of a hat here. If I could pull this out of a hat, let's see how good I am. I don't know. I thought I would have had it. Did I have it? Did I save it? Let me see. Let me double check real quick the stash. I actually have it, believe it or not. I think it's only right and the honorable thing to do is I'm gonna just put this up here really quick. Let me just share this screen, TYRA. Just close this one here. Put this up. But this is just out of pure respect because I've known Alex for a while and what he's doing. In fact, someone once told me that it's a waste of time that he's even advocating for this because in reality is overrun by time. It's a term that they use in law. And I guess you would have heard it. You might have heard that before yourself, but you know, this lady, right? This is by the way, this isn't Alex Mitchell now. This is the Nation newspaper. So a lot of people got this Alex Mitchell thing and they always know Alex Mitchell and you know, maybe he's a little nuts, 20 years in the Marines overseas. Maybe he's shell shocked, too much bombs in Iraq. I don't know. Point is, he's a noble brother. He has a worthy cause, but put Alex one side. This is the Nation newspaper, although I don't really trust the Nation, but that's another conversation. This is the Nation newspaper front page, and it's dated for those who, wait a minute, that's wrong direction. Wrong direction again. There you go. I'm just glad it wasn't the other picture. I would have been on the front page of the paper too. Let me zoom in cautiously here, right? I become like Mr. Thorne. Let me just be cautious here. I move very slowly. Yes, right. I'll be very careful here, boy. That was
2004.
This is 2004. Listen, this is 2004. Friday, November the 12th. And the questions here is my land. She's alive and she's saying that this is my land. And I have all the documents, all the title deeds. I have all the documents. And I brought in a lawyer and I gave a particular lawyer, and I'm not going to mention his name now, Alex, only because I don't want to put our guest on the spot. She is part of the bar. I don't want to put her on the spot. Just respect. You know, it's a courtesy. It's a pass. I'm giving TYRA a pass. That would cause her phone to ring in the morning or night. But she said that, look, Kensington Oval amount nearly 200 sites which may belong to this 85-year-old woman. Why did the Nation put that in the paper? Because she had the proof. She had the documents. She got all her documents and papers, like I said, that she entrusted to a particular lawyer who I would not mention now, and shortly thereafter, a new corporation opened up in Barbados with land ownership, giving land to people.
Crazy.
Let's just say it start with an N. But I'll say this is legit, man. Like this is. I mean, I give full respect to this lady, man. And we hear the elders crying all the time. I got like 5 people I know right now in a similar situation. Like, shout out to Gene, by the way, because like I said, how do we reconcile this, TYRA? How do we answer questions? Where do we, people who have been find themselves in this position because of some attorneys at law who might be practicing a different type of law? How do you address this? Where's the redress? How do we
Well,
approach this?
you have to go all the way. Not only, well, we have a disciplinary committee. I mean, you can report them to the disciplinary committee, but we all know how that goes sometimes. So at the end of the day, that's just one way to do it. But you should definitely take that person to court because it is fraud and you are doing something illegal and you need to go after them and go after them with like full force. Don't just, because oftentimes this is why I realize, and this is what Andrew Pilgrim is so successful at doing, because he doesn't just stop at the high court. Sometimes the high court makes a decision that is not necessarily sound, and that's why you have the right to appeal. And what Andrew does, he takes you all the way up to the CCJ, previously the Privy Council. He does not stop at the high court, which is in Barbados and has Barbadian judges, and
appointed by politicians.
There you go.
There's
a court of appeal, which is also in Barbados. And you don't stop there. You go all the way to the highest level because at the end of the day, and you need to go after your rights with full. And I think a lot of people are scared. They get afraid. I remember once upon a time, there was this thing with attorneys at law, like persons not only trusted them, but thought, we were some kind of superheroes or couldn't be touched or something like that. That's slowly dwindling away now as you see more attorneys being put before the courts and actually being incarcerated and charged for certain things. But I think more of that needs to be done. If you have been wronged by your attorney at law, a person who you had trust and confidence in, and who you have a legal contract with, and they breach that contract by doing something that is not only illegal, but definitely immoral, you go after them with full force. Don't be afraid, and don't be afraid to call them out on it. Go to the various outlets. Nation newspaper is only but one. We have we live in a world now where there's social media, and that's why they wanted to implement that cybercrime bill. But anyway, that's a different conversation. You go to the various outlets, go to the White Collar Crime, you go to the BIM News, the S News, the Versatiles. Go to them. You put them out there in the public. Don't be afraid, and make sure that when you're done, you get the justice that you deserve. I think we as a people, sometimes we're too passive. That dates back, I think, to slavery times. I think there's something that we need to take out of our DNA. We need to stop being so passive as a people and afraid, and we need to step out of this herd mentality that we have. Don't be afraid to stand alone, because sometimes, it might be you, and then you realize it's not only you, because you're the first one maybe to take the step forward. But as you go forward, you might find other people start to join you because they see, well, this person is taking a stance, so I can take a stance too. And something similar to that happened to me, and I'm now not alone, because not everyone is a leader, and there's nothing wrong with that. We cannot survive or function in a world full of leaders. We need followers. Leaders need followers, just like how followers need leaders. But at the end of the day, you need to fight for your rights. If not you, then who?
Agreed. In fact, I kind of said it better myself. My thing is that when I see this and I look at the nation in 2004, I should say, for me is like, imagine that. I mean, and she was alive and kicking, and to think that you ask most politicians worth their weight in salt, they'll tell you, yeah, we know who, but we know who she is. We know Miss Becker's is. We know her very well. But that situation has been overrun by time, meaning it's been such a long time. Nobody's digging up her remains, and nobody's restoring what was taken from her, clearly. Right. But her family, Mr. Mitchell, is fighting on her behalf as best he can. I just wanted to bring, I had to speak on her. I could not, Miss Monty, talk about the rule of law. The rule of law. Well, unfortunately, maybe different rules and different law may apply in different situations, man. But how do you feel if I had to ask you, and this might seem when you got to ponder, because those people may not know that you are a political candidate. How do you find? I mean, because most people say, well, politicians are all lawyers. We don't need politicians as lawyers. We need people that could empathize with the people that understand life. How do you see, your role as a potential future minister, MP, and
I
being the
think
kind of lawyer that you are?
for me, lawyer and politician, those are titles. I
Mm,
think we need to look deeper. We need
mm,
to look at the intent behind it. Why am I a lawyer? Why do I purport to be a politician, or why do I want to be a candidate? And I'll answer that for you. I was growing up, I was someone, I never had dreams or aspirations on becoming a politician. That's nothing that I had ever in my wildest fantasies thought that I would find myself here today. How I came into the role is through my passion for advocacy and through my passion for fighting for people, standing up for people. I always did it from the time I was a little girl going to school.
mm.
Anytime I saw someone being bullied, or I saw someone, as we bitches say, getting unfair,
You
I would
stepped up.
always voice it. I didn't play. I didn't care who you were. You could be a teacher. You could be a student that was bigger and badder than me. It didn't matter to me, because
Right.
at the end of the day, I believe right is right and wrong is wrong. I don't care who you are. And that has always been me. I tell people all the time, I don't know what fear is. I've never experienced it before. I
Mm,
get anxious, of
mm.
course. I get excited. Sometimes I feel butterflies and stuff like that. But I don't know fear. I don't know if that is something that is stupid or something that works for me. But so far it's worked for me. I don't know fear. I fear no one but God. I do
Right.
not put anyone on a pedestal. And
Mm,
at the end of the day, I've through my life witnessed a lot of injustices. I've witnessed a lot of people getting unfaired. I've witnessed things that really should not be happening. And so I decided I wanted to become an attorney at law and fight for those people. And then through being an attorney at law, it opened doors for me.
mm.
It put me in rooms to have conversations with certain persons. And it even further, ignited that passion inside of me, because you can imagine some of the clients that I get. When
Mm.
sometimes I think, I am a very deep thinker. And I think, well, if this person only had different circumstances, they would not be before me here today with what they're
Serious.
dealing with. If this person only has someone like myself to fight for them, to believe in them, to speak life into them, they would not be where they are today. If this person only had certain opportunities, this person would not be with me or before me today under these circumstances. So these are things I carry through me. Then I remember just being an advocate. I would go, you see, same thing you talked about, the
Mm.
whole IDB survey. I think that was the first time that I really went out on a public stage and really advocated on such a broad platform or wide platform. And then it kind of just happened from there. I never stopped speaking. I tell people so all the time, that was my first time speaking out
Really?
something. So, and I never stopped speaking since then. Somehow I attracted persons who were from the Democratic Labor Party. Then I learned that the president of the Democratic Labor Party was Ronnie. And I was like, oh shoot, well, Ronnie taught me at UE. So I believe I'm a very spiritual person. And
Mm.
I believe that when something is meant to be, if something is your calling, if,
Mm.
as I like to say, the stars align, the stars literally align, you can almost look and see the dots connecting.
See the runway, huh?
See it. So for me, when I found Ronnie was the president and we had that connection, to me, that was a door in. Do you
Right.
understand? So when people ask me why the Democratic Labor, why you chose the Democrat, I won't say I chose the Democrat. I would say the Democratic Labor Party chose me. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of Dr. Ronnie, and I believe in Ronnie's vision, and I believe that there are people who need to be given an opportunity and need to be given a chance, who have not had the opportunity or chance to serve before, whereas there are persons who had the opportunity to serve and have done nothing with it. You understand?
Repeatedly,
Some of them,
repeatedly done nothing.
some of them have even abused the privilege. You
Facts.
understand? So give persons a chance who have not been given a chance before and see what they do with it. Because as they say, or a lot of people that say, the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. Let's not
Serious.
look at the name of the party, BLP, DLP. Let's look at the individuals, which brings me back to my first point. Don't look at me as a politician or as a lawyer. Look at me as a person, as a being. What do I represent? What characteristics do I have? What morals do I represent? How do I carry myself? How do I speak about certain things? Do I inspire you? When I speak, do you feel as though I am being genuine, or do you feel it's just a show? I'm quite frank, I ain't got no time to be putting on no show. I'm very straightforward, very frank.
For
You know,
sure.
I ain't got time for all the run around and all the BS. I don't have time for it because we are in a crisis and I'm a young person. And if I want to live in this country comfortably for the next 40 or so years, then I want to be able to live in a country that is peaceful, not only for me, but for my offspring. You know what I mean? So I
For
ain't
sure.
there, instead of me sitting down and complaining all the time like everybody else or like most people do with this passive thing, I decided no, let me use my skill set, which is advocacy. Let me put my passion to something good, because
Mhm.
passion is an energy, and I
For
could be
sure.
using my energy for good or I could be using it for bad, because I could decide, well, instead of going on a political platform and advocating and trying to do things the right way, inciting change the right way, I might decide to be destructive. I might decide, let me take my energy and put it towards, you might reach the same goal, but I might do it in a way that before it gets better, it gets a lot worse,
Mhm.
rather than trying to help the situation. So for example, perfect example, there are a lot of young men in Barbados who are angry of the whole suppression thing and the oppression thing. And they may not think to, like me, go out there and advocate and gather a group and decide to do petitions or to take court people or even to run for elective politics so they can get the power to change things. They might decide, well, we're going to do it by force. Let me go and
Mhm.
take up a gun and shoot
Mhm.
people who have wronged me. So it's the
Mhm.
same energy, but
Just misplaced.
exert it exactly in a different way. And I didn't want to be part of the problem. So instead of being part of the problem, I said, let me be part of the solution. And that's how I got here today. So it's
Wonderful.
not that I'm looking for fame or clout or money from politics. It's not about that for me. It's literally about helping those persons who need a representative, who need a leader, because they may have the right ideas, but they
Mhm.
don't know how to express them in a way that will gain the attraction from others, or they may not be able to present the way that I can in front of a large crowd, or they
Mhm.
may not have the connections or the network or the resources that I have in order to do it. So I am merely but a representation of those
Mhm.
who hopefully will put their faith and trust in me to lead them. That's as simple as it is.
Wow. That's a that sounds like a campaign speech, but
It really isn't though.
I
It
know
really-
what I would say. What I would say. Well, you know what? Even if it was, I'll tell you what. It would be different because most people on the campaign trail just be doing political mudslinging. They always talk what the
Mm,
other side do and not do. They really don't talk about themselves, from their heart. And so
mm.
that's it's all love because the truth is, like you said, this be you. You
Exactly.
ain't
That's
gotta,
all
you
it
ain't
would
gotta,
be.
you ain't
Me.
gotta out somebody else's candle to make yours look bright. If you shining like that, if you really shining, then you ain't gotta out nobody candle. That's shine. But a
Facts.
candle in the sun is still a candle in the sun. So I understand how that go, bro. That's how that is. But nevertheless, here's the deal. I was going to say, since you like to help people, I want to take the opportunity to put um, your website up. I want to share this for those who may have questions. Let me go to the homepage first. I thought it was pretty interesting. I'll put the homepage up. Anyone interested in, any questions they may have, they may need uh, a good attorney that cares for the people. I'll put the number up on the screen here. The link is there. Feel free to check the website. And on the website is a number for those who might not necessarily know how to navigate the website thing. I think the number is somewhere. Contact us where it is right here. Um, while this scroll and do its thing. And yeah, you got to do a little questionnaire, make sure you're legit. You know what I mean? Because nowadays you got all kind of AI robots and all kind of thing going on. Just gonna copy this real quick right here, and we're gonna go back to home screen. I'm gonna put the link and the number in the comments for those who are interested. And that's what's up. What's the area code in case you live in a far territory and you have some legal questions about your land in Barbados or your family that got issues with your land in Barbados. And if you got any issues in Barbados or you're in Barbados and you got issues, TYRA says she's ready to serve. So that's what's up. I put that out there, you know, and as an official thank you. I like to say this though. I like how you explain the scenario, um, land ownership versus title deed, because in reality is a lot of folks think they own the land, and in reality you own a piece of paper that is marked out on the land. The land belongs to the land and the people on the land. From a
And
business standpoint, go ahead.
it needs to be officially recorded. A lot of people miss that part. You have
Officially
to
recorded.
record
But before
at
you go,
the
then
land
you say
registry.
officially recorded. The what is the advantage? I use this word loosely here, of the common law, historical, traceable title deed, and the disadvantage of the title certificate, if there's a juxtaposed comparativeness.
Um,
What's the advantage of one, or rather, sorry, let me phrase it. Is there rather an advantage of
there is
one
an advantage of
over
one
the other?
rather than the other. I would say perhaps it gives you more information.
Mm.
With the common law system, you get more information because the deeds are lengthier and it goes through a whole lot of whereases. And when you read it, you would know what I'm talking about. There's like a whole description of the land. It has a whole lot of information in it.
Mm.
Whereas the title certificate is a more simpler form. It doesn't give you as much information. But I would say that's really the advantage to the new system. It is quicker. I suspect it's more cost effective, and it's more modern, right? But a lot of times it depends on what you prefer. A lot of people don't like modern things, but there's no real advantage or disadvantage between the two, I would say, because by the end of the day, both of them, in order for you to, or in order for that document to become official, both of them need to be recorded at the land registry. That's the
Both of
one
them. Both of them.
all be all. Both of them. You have to record it at the land registry in order for it, to be like sealed and delivered. You
Um,
know.
I think that is worth looking into some more. I think that we have to have a conversation on title certificates and see really how that works. We have to dig that law up and take a look. Shout out to the family in Dominica, by the way. This is a sister right here that does law over there as well, and she's
Okay.
explaining to me something very similar going on with the elder over there,
There's
where the
all.
government actually is taking beachfront property from this elderly man again, and it's just the same story, just in a different territory. Crazy. And so shout out to Farah and the whole Dominican family. We give thanks for y'all. Somebody was asking a question about, what was that? I thought a question like pertaining to well, one is that somebody want to know how to contact you, that's for sure. But the number's on the screen, Butterfly. They're asking to contact you. The number and the website is there on Facebook and on YouTube. Those on either one. Someone said that Valerie needs to hire you as well, and I might agree with that. Someone is also saying that you are in the wrong party.
Oh Lord.
Well, the thing is, it's a neither B or D you should be in, but I won't even touch that. You
Because
know,
Barbados does not recognize, unfortunately, third part. I call them third parties. They don't really recognize independence. Perhaps if they did, more people would be willing to come forward and run as independents.
can I,
But
can I can I tell you something? Point of correction. They said that point of correction. Well, now Barbados don't recognize third parties, but and recently I found out that prior to 1966, which is interesting, sometimes Barbados will have up to sometimes 9 different parties in parliament at once.
interesting.
I didn't even know that.
I
So I
didn't know
was
that
thinking,
either.
but hold on a minute. It gets better though. It gets even better. And I found out also that what's his name? The gentleman there on Colonial Road, that building, the guy, Frank Walcott.
Walker. Mm-hmm.
Frank Walcott won his seat as an independent
Okay. So
before he
there's
decided,
hope.
before he picked up. I didn't even know that either. He ran as an independent and won.
Mm.
Won in a major way. But eventually, I think he settled for was it the DLP?
The thing is, the Constitution does not recognize parties. When you
Right.
hold your seat, you don't hold your seat as a DRB. You hold your seat as the individual who won or who was elected.
Say that again though, because I could kind of use that as ammunition. But I want you to say that again
The
regarding.
Constitution does not recognize parties. It
DLP
recognizes
or DLP?
individual. No, it recognizes individuals. So when you hold your seat as you, as the individual, even though you may have won your seat off of the strength or name of your party, but it will not go there. But it does not recognize parties. So that's why
Wow.
I tell people all the time. You see this whole voting, this whole party politics thing. I even though I belong to a party, I don't believe in it. I don't. I think that you should vote based off of policy. I think you need to look at
The
the
individual,
candidates,
the individual himself.
individual themselves, and like I said, examine what are the things that are not only coming out of their mouths but are coming out of their hearts. Because I don't know if you have the gift, but I definitely have the gift of discernment, and I can always tell when someone is BSing or when someone is genuine. So I
Right.
think you need to look at the person themselves and see if what they're saying matches what they're exhibiting, right? And the
For sure.
energy that they're exhibiting. Because a lot of the times, this pretty talk, yeah, I have the gift of the tongue as well, but that's because I'm an advocate. But I don't try to use it to manipulate persons into thinking that I'm something that I'm not. I will always be me, regardless whether you like it or not. That is me. That's how I live my life. To thine own self be true. It's something I have tattooed on my skin. It's something that's very near and dear to me, right? So look at the individual. Look at what their vision is for your particular constituency, and just suss out the person. And I think there needs to be more interactions between the candidates and the constituents. Like, it shouldn't just be I seeing them around elections because they're begging for a vote, right? I think that the person needs to be in the constituency and connect with the people. Because and you touched on it when we first started off, we should be called servants and not ministers, because at the end of the day, that's what we are. We are there to
Facts.
serve the people. We are
Facts.
representatives of
Facts.
the people. So at the end of the day, I may have a vision. This is how I see it. I may have a vision for the constituency I'm running in, but did I consult with the people? Because my vision may not even be what the people want.
Facts.
So I've made
Right.
it a goal of mine to
Right.
walk through my constituency that I'm running for and speak to the people and ask them all the time, what are some of the problems, the issues that you're facing? What would you like to see happen in the constituency? What are some of the plans and ideas that you have? Because at any day, I'm just one person. I might hear something. I'm like, whoa, that is a brilliant idea. How can we get together, collaborate on that, and make this idea become a reality? How can we materialize it? So that's my approach. I'm not here to dictate nobody or tell nobody, well, I think this is the best for you. All no, y'all tell me. Tell me what are your plans for your constituency, and I will help you reach those goals, because I am put there now on the platform in order to do so. I then have the connections or the access to the resources and the connections that are needed in order to make that dream or vision become a reality. That's how I see it. I don't know. I'm still on the outside, so I don't know if when I get it, because I tell people that's why I'm very hesitant to make promises. I don't promise nobody nothing at this point in time, because I don't know what's going on behind those closed doors. Maybe when I open that door, I might tell myself, "Oh God, I didn't even know all this here is going on," because I'm still an outsider. I'm on the outside looking in. So I I really can't, but I know what my vision is in terms of how I want to be seen, or how I want to be as a leader and as a representative. That is me. I know how who I am and how I want to be and who I want to be for the people. Everything else is literally a collaboration between myself and the people of my constituency. That's it.
Well, I gonna tell you right now, man. I gonna tell you right now, man. When you do win your constituency, when you do win that, and I could say that right now without a hesitation, like that's obvious. When you do win that, one of the things I also said before was, I have this. If I was to ever become the prime minister, day, even if just for one day. Yeah, it would be look, man, I would do so much work in 24 hours. They'd be say he is the hardest working prime minister we ever had. Like, just one day, do a lot of changes, and the land would get redistributed. I could tell you that automatically. We wouldn't have the land issues. We'd be clear when it comes to land. Clear. One of the things I think they need to do is put a law, well, not a law, well, one of these statutes, what they call it, legislation, where a sitting minister is prohibited from campaigning during election. A sitting minister should not be allowed to campaign during election, because if you were doing what you were supposed to be doing by the people, you
Then
don't
your
have
work
to get up
speaks
on the
exactly.
stand
Your work speaks for
tell
itself.
you to revolt, put me back in, put me back in. You don't have
That's
to. You
true.
shouldn't have to. In fact, the fact that you were doing your work is your
It's
campaign.
campaigning. Facts. I agree.
So you should be allowed the individuals who are contesting you, and the reason why they are
Right.
contesting you because you ain't did.
Nothing yet.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So then we would see a whole difference.
Mm-hmm.
Ministers would work; they would really serve the people, not just like
Yeah.
you said, talk pretty cause they got the
In
gift.
addition to that, I
Oh,
was
there's more.
discussing, yeah,
There's
there's
more.
more. I was
Okay,
discussing
bring
this
it.
with someone the other night, and I was telling them I don't feel as though a minister should be able to sit for more than 10 years. That's just my
Mm,
humble opinion, unless like you
mm,
are that great that the people
mm,
are dying to have you represent them. Because I think a lot changes within 10 years. And
mm,
life, I was, explaining this to someone, life is
mm,
ever evolving.
mm.
Right now I in the trenches with everybody. You understand?
Facts.
So I know what we're dealing with. You know what I mean? I
Mm,
may not be at the same level of trenches, I will not be dealing with the exact same thing, but I understand what it is that we are battling as a
mm,
people, because I out here in the streets just like everybody else, right? 10 years from now, I may not be in this same place. So there may be some form of disconnect between myself and the people with what they're experiencing now, because I said it's ever evolving. So the issues we're battling now may not be
yeah.
the issues we have 10 years from now. So
Facts.
I think I
Facts.
should be in a position where I can pass on my baton to the next person who, for those 10 years, has been in the streets with the people, experiencing what it is that they were battling. So by the
Mm,
time those 10 years come, they now have the idea, they can
right.
carry on the fight.
Right.
Because I think a lot
Agreed.
of times that happens. There are ministers who sit down in seats for too long. They are too far removed from the issues. There is too big wide of a disconnect. And that is why you would hear things come out their mouth and you're like, what are you talking about? Like the other day, me are gonna tell people the cost of living has gone down where? For
Um,
who? And she's saying, well, it has gone down, but we just aren't feeling it yet.
no, what she meant by,
People are
but hold on a minute.
scarred by it.
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Point of correction. When our prime servant said the cost of living has gone down, you see, I think the problem when it comes like I can't wait to me come on this program. I keep saying it. We can't. She gonna come. I tell you, she gonna come up politically
You might
incorrect. Look,
watch it all. No, you never know. I
the
might
whole
put
of
a letter to
Barbados is going to stop that night. Whether people driving, you see car park on the highway, people log on to their phones. When our prime servant talks about cost of living has gone down, we have to recognize that it's called double speak. Politicians do it at that level. She's speaking about the plantocracy because they have so much more money now that of course the cost of living has gone down because they got more wiggle room. The problem is that because trickle-down economics, depending on the amount of bottles of champagne you pour in, it don't always get to the bottom. So like she said, you just don't feel it yet. It's because it didn't get there yet. Right now, we up top here swimming in champagne, but look, we doing breaststrokes and backstroke all down the throat in this thing. So yes, she's correct. The problem is that
right.
you hopefully
But
said that
that's what I'm
said,
saying. You see
quote
the
unquote,
disconnect. There's
it didn't
disconnect.
get there, it didn't reach. But here's the
There's
problem:
disconnect.
if the
There's
bottle run
disconnect.
out, but you know it is not reaching.
Disconnect, and then you have all these old people. I mean, nothing wrong with old people. It's a prior, is what you call it, a privilege to
Mhm,
age,
mhm.
right?
Go to
By
the
any
elders, man.
day, we need the experience of the older heads for sure, and we need their wisdom and their guidance. But in terms of being on the front line, the young people should be those on the front line, because we are the ones who have the energy to do it.
Facts.
We are the ones
Facts.
who are most passionate, because we
Facts.
up and coming and struggling like everybody else. Y'all have made it. Y'all have arrived. Y'all are relaxing. We cannot have persons on the front line who are relaxing. This is not the time to relax. This
Facts.
is the time to
Facts.
fight. So that
Facts.
is my humble belief. Yes, sit down in the back and advise us. You know what I mean? We are grateful for your experience and your wisdom for sure, because we don't know everything. We have not seen it all. We are now coming through it. But at the end of the day, when it comes to having the energy and the
Mhm.
perseverance, we, the young people, need to be the ones on the front line. We also are innovative, and we come from this period, and
Mhm.
therefore we know better. I know a lot of people, I can get a lot of shots for this, but we know better
You ain't
of
getting a
what we
shot for that.
need. What
The
we
youth,
need right now, because we are of this period, we are of this era, we are of this generation. So we know more than anything what young people
what the
need.
Bible say, they always pushing the Bible verse. Say, hey, everybody quoting Bible these days. Everybody all of a sudden is a minister, pun intended. But it said a child shall do what? You ain't hear that verse? It said a child shall do what? Out of the mouths of babes and sucklings. So we know that the youth is who pick up the revolution. The old folks saying fighting, they comfortable. A lot of them get fat too. I notice what's going on. They got to put it up. They got I got to put holes in my belt, man. I got to get the ice pick, put it on the stove, and punch a hole because we out here in the trenches. So we know how it's like. And I agree with you. The youth have a vision, and where there's no vision, the people perish. And that's why I said
Mm.
it's one. If Miss Motley get on a world stage and advocate for debt reform, and we gonna push it for 50 years. For me, all I hearing is that we can put the bill upon the children and the children. I can't sit comfortably thinking that we gonna live lovely now and swim in champagne, and when done, the bill upon the children. Like, sorry, that don't sit with me. Look, that don't sit well at all. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I is a quote unquote a layman, and I ain't got a clue about politics. But all I hearing is that we gonna build the children for. We gonna do what we gotta do now. I mean, put the bill on them. You know, when it comes to Barbados, let me ask you a question before you run off. If and I like this question, I hope you prepare for it. This is one of them hot seat questions.
Oh, like,
No, but that's the thing about politically incorrect, right? You gotta have heart to come on this platform. A lot of folks go everywhere else, man. You gotta have heart, and I realize you have a lot of heart, man. You ain't easy because I'm not going to come here and put someone in a position I wouldn't want to be put in. So I'm not going to put you out there because that's not what this is. I'm very serious with this. What we do here. Let me ask you a question. So you won your seat, you won your constituency, and you go into a space where your particular party have majority seats, and they say, "Well, hey, look, Tyra, what ministry would you like to be minister and preside over? What
mhm.
ministry would that be, and why?"
it, it would be youth. Well, it used to be youth sports and culture. There's a different name for it now. I think it's youth now, and what's this, some fancy name? You know, they've divided the
You,
ministries now and all kind of
you
thing.
could
But
always pick that when
basically,
you get there.
youth sports and culture, and I'll tell you why.
Mhm,
Youth, obviously, because I'm young myself, around a lot of young people. I think that you should be connected to the ministry that you preside over. I mean, you don't have to be, for example, the minister of health does not have to be a doctor, but I think you have to have some sort of interest or passion
mhm,
in it.
mhm.
Just for obvious reasons, you need to be connected to it. So youth, because I'm young. Culture, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I was actually a cultural practitioner myself. I was a singer,
Really?
I was an artist. Yes,
Whoa,
man.
singer. Whoa,
Pastor
singer.
Michelle, what it
Artist.
is?
Yeah. You got videos from YouTube? Cause
Pastor
they gonna come up with
Yes.
the campaign. You for real? Wait, hold on.
Listen,
You was part of a
before
group?
I studied law and went to uni,
What?
I was actually signed by Evan Rogers in New York City. They had me to be the next Rihanna. I was on stages performing. I had singles out there. Yes.
You back in sport, man. You back
No,
in sport,
I am back
man.
in the sport.
Listen.
So
Wow.
I understand the importance of culture, and not only do I understand the importance of culture, but I understand the opportunities that culture can bring for young people and people of Barbados. We have a lot of talented people here in Barbados. Unfortunately, we don't have the same resources. We don't have the same access to the opportunities. We don't have the same support system in
Mhm,
terms of funding, infrastructure, laws, just the whole industry. We don't have a cultural industry. And
mhm,
I say that with my chest because when I was privileged enough to be signed to a label in New York City, there was a big difference in ways in how we operate.
mhm,
Things were happening like this.
mhm, mhm,
Here, things are very slow. Culture, whether it is that you are a singer, a rapper, a spoken word artist, you write poetry, you paint, you create things, whatever it is seen as a hobby. It's
mhm,
not seen as a business or a
mhm,
career.
mhm,
So it goes back to, I think, a mindset and a mentality. And so that's one of the changes I would like to bring in Barbados. I would like to influence, because if I always say Rihanna is all but just one example of
mhm,
how someone from very humble beginnings
Mhm.
can make it. Culture. That's the only thing she had to offer. Culture. But she was fortunate enough to be placed in an environment
She was
where
well packaged.
raw talent
Yeah, she carried something very different.
was packaged correct and then shaped into something which now she can say she is a billionaire.
Take off, man.
And her children and her children's children and her children's children, they have nothing to worry about now because that is what you call wealth, generational wealth that
Mhm.
she has now created for her offspring, her family line. And it would be wonderful if other Barbadians could reach that level. So
But
I
I
think
think that's a collective effort.
it is a collective effort, but I also think that persons who have the power to influence policy, because I think it will start at the policy level, to influence policy to create the environment necessary in order for that type of thing to happen or flourish in Barbados, it needs to exist first. So that's why I would say culture, because I have that background. And then for me, sports, I mean, I am a big sports person, but when I look at sports, I don't just look at it as like sports, I look at all the deeper elements to it. So once again, the opportunities for athletes, for young people, how
Mhm.
it shapes and builds you as a person. I
I
think
like it.
everybody focusing on this peace program thing, giving the gangsters money or the black men money. But I think if we can tackle some of those persons from a very young age before they end up on the blocks by giving them something else to do, by giving them up, because not everybody's academic. Not everybody can sit down in the classroom and focus for those long hours or want to even be interested in those types of things. There are some persons who are very crafty and good with their hands, and then there are persons who are very able-bodied and with the right training, they can become great sportsmen and once again create generational wealth. Look at the cricketers, for example. Look how much money they make on contract. Look how many, they're able to build homes, support their family, travel the world, all these different
Agree.
opportunities that sports creates for young people. Not only that, there's sponsorships. So if you are academic and you're really good at sport, your family may not have the money to send you
Get you. Yeah,
to
yeah.
get in
I
those
see you.
schools,
I see you.
but you
I see
real
you.
good at sports. So
I
you
see
may
you.
use that then as the stepping stone to get the scholarships to further your education. So sports is so big. And then there was a study done the other day. I read it. I think it said what is 35% of Barbadians are obese. I think that's what it was.
25% of
And
Barbadians are
30,
obese.
yeah, and
Wow.
30% is overweight. I think that's what I read. So we have a problem with being overweight and obese, and
Comics.
then we have hypertension, diabetes, a lot of just health issues, mental health. Sports helps with that. Physical health, mental health, the depression, the anxiety, the PTSD, the lack of self-confidence. I think sports can help with all those things, not only sitting down smoking, because weed is one thing, but the abuse of weed is another thing. And I think a lot of people use marijuana as an escape, and then
Mhm.
when you come dependent on it because you have no other form of escape, I think that's where the problem lies. And
Mhm.
I think if you have sports, you have something to do, you have competitions to look forward to, and then you actually do well in those competitions, it builds your self-confidence. You're
Mhm.
now like a
True.
known
True.
footballer. You
True.
have different goals, and once you set personal goals and you achieve them, like I said, it builds your character, it does something to you. It I think a lot of them block boys and block men you won't see a lot of them anymore. Like, they would actually be doing some nice things with their lives. And then the issue of anger. We have a lot of anger right now. I think sports is an outlet for that. We have a lot of angry, not only young men, but young women. So you have like domestic violence. We have a lot of violence in terms of, you see all the shootings, the stabbings, all those things. I think sports can help with that. So once again, the ministry would choose sports, youth, and culture because collectively, holistically, they impact those same persons that I was talking about that I wish to fight for. That's where
Wow.
my passion is.
Wow. I mean, you had a whole lot right there. You like the thing is though, you already know what you want to do.
You see, I've always known what I
Right.
represent.
Yeah.
It just manifested itself like
in
this.
this way. Well,
In
no, can I say something? Can I speak to that then? Because I on this platform, first of all, let me just make it clear. I am people. I don't do party, but I realize that the country does party, and one way or the other, directly or indirectly, I'm involved. One way or the other, somebody's going to hold the wheel. And so my thing is, if we can always and all lend a hand to help build the nation as a whole, for me, despite me having a degree of understanding how the cooperation runs, whether maritime or otherwise, we get all that. We can keep debating that as a people and chanting that cry. Again, when the horse is starving, while the grass growing, the horse is starving. There's a number of things we could do as a people to change the landscape of the country we find ourselves living in. And I think we should always be trying to find that avenue of how can we be of service as well. So not waiting for a politician or a minister to come by and say yes or no, you can do this or you can't do that. We do.
right.
You see a need, you fix it. So the money for the block people, the block man, them that friendly extortion, paying out money and thing, it is called giving out fish. So what they may not realize that the government was enabling them all along, making them more dependent. So when the money stopped coming in, what you feel going to happen? Especially if you're so used to receiving it. There's a book called Who Moved My Cheese, right? Very interesting book. I want to see what's going to happen when the cheese stop coming. Because right now as a people, regardless of what party in play, according to how the political democratic system works or not work, we still all here together. We still on this island called Barbados. We all affected by the elements and the circumstances, whether economic or otherwise. So we definitely got to find ways to see how we can best help each other. So I say to you that it's important that you said that you see how your life is going and you keep going. I don't doubt for a second that if you see things not being the way they ought to be, that you will stand by your integrity first
For sure.
and not necessarily cross the floor.
You must, as I say, you must stand for something or you fall for anything at all.
Yeah. You know what? What time is it? I want to thank you for that. This is even more than I plan on. I want to thank you first of all for sharing, and more importantly, though, for being you.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
as a young individual who find themselves with that kind of passion, my thing is, it's about helping.
Mm-hmm.
It's about guiding. And like you said, the older folk tell themselves they got it. The old guards, we know who the old guards are. Unfortunately, we're living in a new day and a new age. And even politics, how it used to be, in that no more. You see, I told someone now, we have a generation that is exposed to immediate information. See, before you come here and talk, and people didn't know what's going on, so they're listening to you for the first time and they had to make a decision in the moment. Now that you said we got social media, everybody see it's available rather to everybody, to everyone at the push of a button. It's there. So you can't come with the same form of politics. You got to come with something different. And yes, strategy might be part of it, but passion, like you said, and purpose is also part of it in 2024 and going on. If you lack the passion and you ain't got the purpose, well, then you lack the passion and you ain't got the purpose. So don't expect that even if you get a seat because of people, what you call it earlier, loyal to party and not people, we can find the kind of chaos that we see going on now, going on further. And unfortunately, it only is going to divide the nation even. And at this point, we don't need no more division. Like, we don't need no more division. Anybody promoting division right now is of the devil. Because again, the Bible tells us so. Not me, the Bible, because God is about unity. And we can't stress it right now more in Barbados, especially as the original folks here that would have gone through the atrocities that took place for Draxall and everybody else. We can't afford that right now because we look around you. You see a lot more people who don't look like you coming. And they're not coming and find themselves, they're not coming into this society at your level. They're coming in a few tiers up. And in some cases, tiers above those who thought it was up and putting those who thought it was up down, you know? So solidarity, man. I want to thank you. Give us a final thought on, and tell us again, family, some folks asked how to reach you. The number is in the comments and the website is in the comments. Give us a parting thought you have for the nation of Barbados as a whole and going forward?
Well, I think that we need to take back our power. We need to exercise our right to vote. I'm not only saying that because I'm running for elective politics, but last elections, only 40% of the population came out to vote, and we saw the effect of that. Whether you are a BLP or a DLP or whatever LP supporter, that at the end of the day, I believe, and I strongly believe, there needs to be an opposition. I think once power is in the hands of all the power is in the hands of one group of or one person, there will be abuse of power. I think the opposition needs to exist not only to call out persons when they're doing wrong things, but it's a balance and check on that power that has been granted to them. So it is so very crucially important that there is an opposition. And at the end of the day, go out there, exercise your right to vote. Be careful in who you vote for. Do not allow persons to buy your vote. I know telling someone not to take $500 when you need groceries or your bills want paying or your school, you got to send school your child, it is a hard pill to swallow. But at the end of the day, think about it this way. You are being given $500 for poor representation for the next 5 years. That's $100 per year. Divide that $100 by 365 days. How much are you selling out yourself for? Don't do it. Make sure you vote and you place that X next to the person who you strongly, genuinely, wholeheartedly believe has your best interests at hand. And don't be afraid to call up that person and put them on the spot and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, because they work for you. You do not work for them. That is my thing. When it comes down to the land thing, make sure anytime you are buying land, please involve an attorney at law, but not just any attorney at law, not an attorney at law because the person has been practicing for 40 or 50 years. Do your research, ask about that attorney at law, look at the reviews, make sure it is an attorney with integrity, because you want to ensure that when everything is said and done, you have not been defrauded or tricked out of your money. Do your own research.
Or land.
Or land. Do your own research. Do your own checks and balances. Remember what I told you in terms of establishing a good root of title, making sure that what they are selling is their own and who they're purported to be, they are, because that's another thing too. There's identity theft and fraud, right? So we're living in a crazy, crazy world right now. So just be very careful out there. And fight for your rights. Do not be afraid, because at the end of the day, someone once told me, a very wise person a long time ago, nobody is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. So if you're not going to fight for you, how do you expect other people to fight for you? Stand up and fight for yourself. You might never know. You might get support, and you might also be the inspiration for another person who's in a similar situation to come forward and join you in the fight as well.
Facts. Wow. You know what? You continue on your path, your trajectory of success.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll be back on here again in the not too distant future. Perhaps we can make you for now our resident attorney at law. Questions and answers, on another note. But I appreciate you shedding light on that matter. Mama Stewart, I hope you heard, someone speaking the truth, because TYRA, I'm gonna tell you, man, mom if you get to speak to moms, perhaps you never know that might happen. She's a warrior. I mean, to see that she's gone through so much and she's still alive. Miss Becca's not alive anymore to tell her tale, but her story is still on the table. We ain't gonna let it go to rest. Shout out to Alex again. And Alex is passionate as well. And you see that his comments, his heart is in the right place. Sometimes he might think more faster than he can type, but Alex is a good man. He's a good man because he loves the people and he's for the people, so that's good. We can all, but of course he's upset at what happened. So if you can't understand that, something wrong with you, because mom should have, 85 years old and a lawyer go there. Yeah, give me the documents, give me the title deeds and everything. I gonna organize. There's law. You don't bother your head with this nonsense. I can fix it. Just sign here. Yeah, nah. Like you said, you got to be careful. In fact, I said this to someone. The bar needs an age restriction on the alcohol it sells. Like I think a lot of folks is drunk. You like how I did that, right? You like how I did that, right? Because I got to be politically incorrect. That's what we're about. I can't. I told somebody the other day, man. I told him, come for me, cybercrime bill. Come for me, man. Language, words is power. And we know how to use the words over here. So you can, like I said, I ain't past the bar, but I know a little bit. Enough, you ain't going to drag me to court.
That law has not been passed, huh?
Nah.
So you're still free to say whatever you want as it stands right now.
Right? I'm going to always be free to say what I want to say. I mean, like I say, like in the beginning was the word and the word was God, man. That's what you're dealing with. You can't stop God from talking, man. We ain't dealing with that. Truth is true. Whatever you do, do. Whatever you do, do. But thank you. Continue to speak your truth. It's always refreshing. You know, I have one or two, I have about 3 attorneys I could call for sure that I know they're going to tell me straight up what it is. Then I watch others and tell myself, man. Another thing I think is that when you get where you're headed, you know, regardless of under which ship you're sailing on, you're going to get where you're going. That's a fact. And like you said, it's about the individual and not the party. So it's providence. I say this, you know, continue to advocate for those who don't have the voice, be the voice to the voiceless. And, you know, especially when it comes to women.
Yeah.
Because you find out that, you know, I met some sisters yesterday and they were telling me about women. They find out women are always trying to compete, this envy, this jealousy thing. And what I thought was most interesting is that you look around now, you see a lot more women stepping up and speaking and sharing their truth and bringing about change. So let's be complimentary and not necessarily in competition. So I want to thank you. And you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, easy, man. And to be continued. How that sound? To be continued. That's fair?
That's fair.
All right. Well, before you go, I would throw a tune. I can do a tune or two a little bit in a minute. You know, normally I try to get the comments real quick now. Because people say, you don't read the comments. I said something and like, oh man, I ain't see it. Somebody said, TYRA, so much energy, love it. Man, fixed fight. But I love your energy. But you know what, Vanguard? Let me say this, man. We're here to help each other. And like Tyra said earlier, nobody has all the answers, you know, like nobody has it all.
It's true.
And in fact, when you buy a car, you see a car got, well, in my time, because I a little further on the road than Tyra. Because in Tyra time, you buy a car now, you got cameras in the front, cameras to the side, cameras from the top. They give you 360 degrees of a vehicle. I don't know how they do it, but they can do that. While you inside. Anyhow, in my time, you had the 2 side mirrors. If you're lucky, because some cars only have one, and you had the rear view. So my thing is, those mirrors are there for a reason. Sometimes you gotta look back, you know, and see, you know, look and make sure that, you know, while your focus is going forward. Us as a nation right now, sometimes you gotta check the mirror to make sure that we in the lane, we in the space we supposed to be in while we going forward, just to make sure that, you know, everything is everything. So we gotta focus on the youth going forward, but pay attention and learn from the mistakes and the victories of those that came before. There's an old African saying, if you want to know what's on the road up ahead, ask the man returning. Family, I give thanks to y'all for joining us tonight on Politically Incorrect, where we get it correct. And if we're not correct, feel free to correct us. That's what we're about. Yeah, I see you life. We figured it out. Remember, Emmanuel, feed my son breakfast on the pine rail thing. And wait. Clyde, who is this? We had a breakfast program in the pine. We were feeding the children free breakfast before they go to school in the pine.
Okay.
The elderly in the community. That was one of the most humbling experiences I have ever had as an individual, man. And I remember the day we brought that to a close, last day. And I try not to speak about it because it moves me. And I just got to take a minute, man, because I never forget the look on them children's face, man. You know what I mean? So it's about the work, man. It's about the work. Do we have a constitution? Somebody asked a final question before you go. They sent you a curveball here, man. It wasn't me, man.
That is a whole nother discussion. That's going to take at least 2 hours.
Tea, dog bread. In your humblest opinion, do we have a constitution?
I'll say this. We are not a republic.
Before you say this, though, let me say this. Before you say this, let me say this. Barbados, like you said, Barbados has made the system has made a transition. This is where you gotta be politically correct. The system has made a transition
Right.
into something that we are now
Different.
learning about because it wasn't like there wasn't a revision course. We didn't have no heads. There's like, okay, we're gonna do this. This is it. Here it is. Bam. Okay, let's understand it now. So, and the words of the great Frondel, I'll say this and I'll yield the floor. We have put on our shoes and I'm trying to put on our socks. I yield the floor.
As you said, we've transitioned to a republic and we're still operating based on a post-independence constitution that has sections in it, the wording of which speak to things that would exist
Mhm.
where a monarch is still the head of state rather than a president. So with that being said, and I'll be very careful how I say it, we have a document which is being purported to be a constitution, but it no longer applies to the system that we're operating under.
You're
Hence
good.
why we have the commission, the Constitution Reform Commission, which I think I read today they're asking for another extension of time.
Really?
I know it was taking so long for them to get their act together.
You know what?
But we still have laws, though. Statutes still exist and they still apply.
Mhm.
And a lot of the laws have been codified. But of course, we know the Constitution carries something which is very important, which is our rights and
Wow.
freedoms.
Wow.
But I will say no more than to say we definitely operate as though the Constitution still has effect, because if not, then there are certain powers that would not have powers that still have powers. If you
Although
understand
they,
what I'm
although they
saying.
shouldn't have powers because there's no power to be given.
Right.
I said that part.
So,
You whistle I'll point.
so to say we don't have one would definitely create state of tyranny and confusion. To
Create
say we have
tyranny.
one may not be entirely theoretically correct. So I'll leave it there. As I said, that would take all 2 hours to decipher.
I like listen, you're good though. Look, if anybody tonight had any doubts when you said you had the gift, right? You just for the first time tonight, right? You just display that gift you have. Clearly, you have a gift. You said a whole lot. I said a whole little, but you had a whole lot.
There you go.
It's deep. Listen, Jane is telling you you're a breath of fresh air. I want you to see that. There are people who appreciate you on a different level, and I think gratitude is a must. And as individuals like yourself, that we got to keep safe, because yes, they're going to pull you into the system, and although a lot of us don't have no faith in it, and I'm not here trying to be hypocritical because I'm one of them. I vote the people first, man. I've seen both parties do damage to this nation. We ain't even gonna pretend. So don't nobody think that, because I hear all kind. I'm hearing you talk, man. Getting back, but that's all right. I don't mind. I get it. My thing is, it's about the nation of Barbados and Barbadians. These fields and hills beyond recall, man. We claiming them. We looking at how we can empower the people for generations to come. We ain't passing the debt along the line. We ain't shuffling it down. We ain't kicking the can down the road. We ain't doing that. If we gonna sacrifice it is in this time right here, so that our children and our children's children will have an opportunity that we ain't never had, to make sure that they could take this nation where it really needs to go. That's not back to the plantation or the plantations by the ocean. You can pick sense from that one. But we give thanks, man. Somebody's sending you some more blessings again, and we don't want Barbados to become a state of tyranny. You know what I'm saying? We don't want that. So we gotta keep you safe, man. Somebody's asking where you're running and what part what part you'll be running.
Well, I have interest. Let me put it that way. I have interest in St. Michael. I'm not gonna say specifically which part of St. Michael, but my interests are with the people of St. Michael.
St. Michael. I love St. Michael too, especially the Pine, personally speaking. Personally speaking. It's a beautiful place. And good people, by Peggy's Place in the Pine. I give thanks, family. I give thanks. I know you. Yeah, man. Shout out to Peggy, by the way. Shout out to Troy there, by the way. Good people, man, making it happen. Anyhow, family, the list goes on. Good job, Tyra. I can't even. So nobody showed me tonight. It's all good. It's all good. Rasta, man. It's all good, man. I yield the floor tonight, man. Brett the law and find out, John. Oh, shucks. Somebody, John asked a question. I ain't seen that question. But anyhow, family, we good. We need a flag and a constitution to have a nation. But Alex, let me have a conversation. Barbados National Congress. Yeah, I've been saying it for a while. Y'all think I'm playing. Barbados National Congress, man. We one nation. That's what's up. One people, one aim. Family, I ain't gonna roll over here real quick. The comments there's just so many. I can't even keep up tonight. I try to scroll through this. Like, where you gotta go, man? You gotta go. I gotta put hand over control, man. This is crazy. Somebody said, "Wow, Jay, she is good." I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. Oh man. Anyhow, family, and I think the idea too of one Caribbean coming together as opposed to these separate islands. They said CARICOM, but we ain't talking CARICOM. We ain't talking CARICOM. We talking about one Caribbean, and even in language, one nation, because the world is changing and changing fast. So we gonna get to it. Anyhow, man, good job, Tyra, man. I can't keep up. When it's easy, man. So you see that you gotta come forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gonna
with a shout sometimes.
Really? Tell us how we can find these videos. We can find these videos on YouTube so that we get it out now. You ain't gotta worry about nobody putting up in the campaign. What's the name of the group?
What group?
That you were singing. It was just you singing?
Yeah, it was just me. My stage name was Ty Blue.
Ty Blue?
Ty Blue.
TYBLU?
TYE.
TYE.
And then yes, BLUE, like the color blue, because that's my favorite color.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We thank you. We're gonna leave it at that one day. Yeah. Now I want it. You like reggae? You got
I love reggae.
Love reggae. Okay.
Yes.
You got a favorite tune? Let me see if we can find a tune to drop.
What's my favorite
tonight? I should play a Thai Blue song.
Oh no, please don't do that. Don't do that.
I can Google it. What y'all think? Google a Thai Blue song? You know my people. You all know they search it. I telling you, all know they search it. Oh man.
Don't do that.
Somebody said they're looking for you on Monday here. Somebody said they're looking for you on Monday.
Monday where? Oh gosh.
Alex, stop playing, man. Behave yourself. Alex good and crazy. Listen, on the real though, I can look for a tune. It said Manuel ain't easy. Listen, give me a tune, Tyra.
Let me see. There's Blessed with Damian Marley. Damian Marley and I think Wizkid. Blessed.
Let me see if I can find that one real quick. Yeah, no.
Has my mantra recently.
Okay. So we can look for that tune then. I can go ahead and look for Bless on Damien. You said Damian Marley?
Yes. And Wizkid, I think he's featuring on that track, Blessed.
I think that. I see it. I see it. Well, I think it's Wizkid fishing and Damian Marley. How you get my program shut down tonight? You get my program. These high ranking audio guys, man, to be having restrictions, but you know what? We gonna still run this track only because it's you. Let me share this screen. How do I share this one tonight? Let me see. All right. Let me see there now. Let me see, this is the tune you're talking about. Is the one?
That is the one.
This is it. All right. New tune. I may go chop it up so they don't try to catch me with the language, right? That's the coding. We drop some message in between, right? We like it already. Time to be blessed, family. Be blessed. Facebook, shut off, come on YouTube. That's all I would tell one.
I might be rough around the edges, maybe yes. I keep it nappy and I do what make me happy, and nobody can deny me that I'm blessed. I might be rough around the edges, maybe yes. I keep it nappy and I do what make me happy, and nobody can deny me that I'm blessed.
Be blessed, family.
Self-preservation, self-elevation. These days they deserve celebration.
Know the tune.
No hesitation, no reservation.
Know the tune.
Go for the big leagues, no relegation. Let's celebrate life, kick back and take 5, and give thanks to the source that create life.
Facts.
Sunset, or see a sunrise, and see my sun born with these same.
Nah, that's not true. You can't play one. I already know what's gonna happen here. They can go and cut this off tonight. I'm telling you that right now. They can go and cut it off. Let me get one of the link. You guys can cut it off. Go and take the tune with itself. I would deal with the behind the scenes permission slips. You get the permission afterwards, man. Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Do the right thing, family. In the eyes of the Almighty. One Barbados, family. Ministers, we're going to learn to yield to good advice, man. The other man opinion better than yours. Let it go through, man. Better ideas.
Yeah, and I do what make me happy, and nobody can deny me that I'm blessed. I might be rough around the edges, maybe yes.
Rough around the edges.
Yeah, and I do what make me happy, and nobody can deny me that I'm blessed. Self-preservation, self-elevation. These days they deserve celebration. No hesitation, no reservation. Go for the big leagues, no relegation.
No reservation.
Life, kick back and take 5.
No reservation.
Thanks to the source that create life. To see a sunset or see a sunrise, and see my son born with these same eyes. To see my son smile bright in every gray sky. He's growing so fast, that's why every day I give it 100, now stop at 90. Praise the Almighty, the Father and 90. I'm feeling blessed.
Feeling blessed, family. Feeling blessed. Tell a friend to tell a friend, family. Politically incorrect. Favorite TROTMAN. Breath of fresh air. The shot of Simpson too.
Make I tell you, say my life is like a movie. And if I tell you all these things I don't see truly, say my eyes don't see before my life come be. Say many try to fool me, but I they pray for my enemies and truly. And I they pray for my kids, that's my blessing. Pray for the friends I lost. I pray you never see no loss. Yeah, that's one pressure, we turn to pressure. I don't see where pressure make man red.
Pray for your friends, family.
Live your life with judging.
Especially in these times, family.
When man pressure, I got
your children, family.
get control. My brother make you know. Life where I they live, say I they live, I'm on the low. Hustle every day, I'm willing just to take control. Never about the money, man, I'm staying in my zone.
Stay your lane, family. Stay in your lane, family. For you can come to you, man. What is yours is yours. That's what's up. That's what's up.
I don't wanna talk about the things that go really, really make me down tonight. Say I don't wanna talk about the things that go make me frown tonight. Say I just wanna hold on to my corner with my lady, make she cool me down. Say I just wanna hold on to my corner with my lady, make she cool me.
Celebrate life, family. Life for living, family.
I keep it nappy and I
Let's judgmental, man.
nobody can deny me that I'm blessed.
Let's judge in the mental, man.
I'm at the
One love.
edges, baby, yes. I keep it nappy
One love in your heart, family.
and nobody can deny me that I'm blessed. I'm feeling blessed. Say tonight, me and my guys,
I want to thank you for coming through, Ty.
Say tonight, me and my guys,
It wasn't easy at all, man. That was that. You let you know a sign or two, let you know a thing or two, man. Get that one, man. Get that one, man. Get that one, family. want to give thanks, man, and look forward to seeing you all on Monday for sure, Moon's Day. We have another exciting night, and I could throw some more punches tonight. You know, I was being a African man tonight, not gentle, but a African man tonight. You know, not necessarily gentle, but I was being politically incorrect. So Monday we can take off the gloves. Best behavior. I think that me personally, I think that hearing you speak truth to power, give people hope, TYRA. And not in a fault, so because it's not a promise of I'll try to help. Like you literally show the way. It's for you to walk it, because I can't walk it for you. But if I can walk it for you, you're gonna go call the number. But in the event that you don't want me to walk it for you, I am showing you the path. That's different. That's a big difference. Monday, family, be good. I would like to go. These comments keep coming. When you get back on, you go back on yourself. You go to your comments, you respond. You do your thing. On that note, family, Haile Selassie first, Empress Reserve Menin, perfect balance. I can let this tune here play off again while we run out the door, man. Daffodil, you don't know how it goes, man. Who's that lady?
I might be rough around the edges, baby, yes.
Who's that lady?
I keep it nappy and I do what
TROTMAN.
but they can't deny me that I'm blessed. I might be rough around the edges, baby, yes. I keep it nappy.
Finally.
What make me happy and nobody can deny me that I'm blessed. Self-preservation, self-elevation. These days deserve celebration. No hesitation, no reservation. Go for the big leagues, no relegation. Let's celebrate life, kick back and take 5. And give thanks to the source that create life. To see a sunset or see a sunrise. And see my son born with these same eyes. My son smile right every gray sky. He's growing so fast, that's why every